let's let Pete Buttigieg talk to us.
Let me say this. One theme that was in the book that I think we need to spend a lot more time thinking about is how we get information. So you recall I wrote up a little bit these studies on vaccine misinformation and the fact that Russia didn't just push anti-vax message. Often what they would do is they would push an anti-vax message and a pro-vax message at the same people, because the point was just to get you at each other's throats. And I think a lot of that's happened recently. Yes, they had a preferred presidential candidate. But their biggest objective wasn't to have for one side to win. It was to break down our trust. It turns out all the nuclear weapons in the world are not capable of doing what this information vector into our society did with shocking efficiency. And we're behind. I don't just mean like those who are on my side of the political spectrum are behind. I think America's behind. Here's something to think about.
Yeah, so I want to say straight up, like, I agree with Pete Buttigieg here. Like, we are behind the ball on misinformation. We are getting curb stomped, misinformation and disinformation. We're getting curb stomped into the ground. They are literally dragging us by our nose, pulling us by our ear, you know what I'm saying? And they got us. They got us right where they want us. Like, we're at each other's throat. We don't even, there's not even an agreement anymore on what an American is. What it means to be an American. We're not even in agreement on that anymore. We're not even in agreement on the truth anymore, on facts anymore. You used to be able to go, hey, look, here's the science behind this, blah, 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 blah. And somebody goes, okay, and they just shut up and go, yep, this is it. This is facts. Or you show them, hey, this did happen. Here's the video. They look at the video and they go, oh God, damn. I didn't know that happened. But now you can't even do that anymore. They're winning. They're winning. We're at each other's throat, and nobody. It's because of the human psychological problem to where nobody wants to admit they were wrong. Nobody wants to humble themselves and go, you know what? I was wrong. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it at all.
In terms of trust. For the last 100 years, it's been possible to more or less decisively settle a question with photographic evidence, right? If you're trying to prove whether a thing happened or not, if you're trying to establish whether somebody's telling the truth or lying in politics, in the courtroom, whatever, one of the best tools you could use to try to establish the truth was a photo. That's basically not true anymore. Or it's about to be not true, right? The AI stuff is so sophisticated. We're kind of getting out of the period where already with the deep fakes and stuff, we're kind of graduating out of that. Yep. Now, on one level, that's terrifying because it's one symptom of the fact that right now we have never had more information and we've never been less informed, right? That's the result of the information bombardment we're living with. And
what's so crazy? Like, did y'all hear the audience? They went, All the audience went, like, listen again.
Terrifying. Because it's one symptom of the fact that right now we have never had more information and we've never been less informed, right? That's the result
of the
information bombardment.
That's so funny to me.
We're living with, and having our news feed be decided by an algorithm instead of an editor, right? On the other hand, if that was true for the last 100 years, then that means it was not true for the thousands of years before the 1920s, right? So what do we do before that? I mean, we had signatures as a means of authentication. It's useful, not exactly impossible to defeat, right? But there were people who helped figure out what was a forgery and what was real in the 17th century, right? So we've got to be harder targets for this misinformation stuff.
Yeah.
And we got to recognize that sometimes the misinformation that comes at us won't just be designed to attack a person. It will be designed to attack our trust itself. We just lived this in a huge way in Hurricane Helene response. And there's only a couple solutions I know of. One is to get things and people offline. Again, I think this is a mayor's instinct. You run into somebody at the dog park and they're the same person who is just horrible from behind a keyboard, but you actually talk to them, they're not so bad. I did with Elon. I mean, I don't know if you followed this, like he texted this thing or he tweeted this thing that wasn't true about the FAA. And I just asked him to call me, and then he did, and then we solved the problem. I'm under no illusions about the bigger picture, but that happens, right? So one is try to find people offline when they're better than when they're online.
Mm-hmm.
The other is to actually understand the dynamics of the information space. And this is a message I have in particular for young people who are ready to make yourself useful in the political and social life of this country.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got to be harder targets. Look, I bet in the 17th century, if I was walking down Harvard Square, if we had a Harvard Square then, or outside of Massachusetts Hall, and somebody handed me a pamphlet that was printed on a printing press, I would have been pretty impressed. I would have been more inclined to believe it, because like not everybody has a printing press. This must be legit, right? Then over time, we became more sophisticated. I don't know if Gen Z even... If you should find yourself reading a hard copy, well, you got my book. So if you find yourself reading a hard copy of Time Magazine or the New York Times or whatever, sometimes your eye falls on newsprint and it's designed to look like an article, but it's actually an ad. And it only takes your brain like half a second to realize it's an ad. You just have some pattern recognition that tells you, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that at the same level on the digital stuff. And every time we form it, a new medium arises.
Yep.
We're going to have to figure out how to pick through that and really understand what's real and what's...
Yeah, I agree with him. Dang, I didn't pause at all. I was kind of letting him cook because he was cooking. But like we really got to find a way through it. And I think that's why a lot of algorithms, they'll change the way they look, and they'll change this and that and the third about them, because now you're looking at it and you're like, am I even on Instagram? Is this Threads? Is this Facebook? Is this X? Wait, no, this is TikTok. What? Like, is this YouTube? Like, is this Twitch? Like, you don't know where you're at. You don't even know what you're looking at, because they just keep always changing, and they always keep adding more ways to look more similar to each other, which makes it harder for you to like overcome like that barrier. Because now, like, I used to be able to tell when somebody's on Snap, right? Like, if it was a Snap, I'd be able to tell. That's a Snapchat. They recorded that on Snapchat. They for sure recorded that on Snapchat. Now with Instagram stories, I'm like, is that a Snap? You know what I'm saying? Because they got nearly the same identical features. I mean, features and filters. And then at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Like now with the live stream stuff, it's like, is this person on TikTok? Is this person on Twitch? Like, where are they at? Like, you don't even know anymore where these clips are coming from. Like, for example, I was doing the Trump videos last week. I was reacting to them on stream, and I'm just like, hold on. Like, I couldn't figure out, like, you could see me in real time try to figure out where these clips came from. And then I had to go find them, and they were actually on Rumble of all things. I didn't know they were on Rumble. I didn't even know you could post videos like that on Rumble. It took me, before I even got on stream, I had looked for those videos on my phone for at least an hour. Could not find them. That's disturbing. We're in a very, 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 it's some dark times. And then you have people trying to revise history. You know what I'm saying? You got Joe Rogan saying, oh, Trump didn't say, you know what I'm saying, verifying people on both sides, when you have him in 4K saying it on the video. I watched the press conference. I literally watched him in real time say it to me. And now you're trying to tell me it's the Mandela effect and that you, one person, know better? Get the fuck out of here. And then everybody else, oh, you just believe that liberal media. He never said that. It's not even liberal media. I literally watched him on Fox News say it. So now what? If Newsmax tries to go pull a clip in support of him, guess what? They wouldn't be able to find it. Why? Because when you run the full video, he said it. He said it. He said there's verifying people on both sides. He did do that. And that's a scary place. And people aren't even trying to investigate what some people have said no more. They're just like, it's so-and-so. I'm going to believe it. That's not good.
Not real, right? That's the difference between the person who is correctly upset with the administration because we haven't solved their economic problem, and the person who is happy with their economic circumstance but has been led to believe that unemployment is an all-time high in the United States of America, right? If we can at least be having politics over this, then it's over reality. And if we're getting dinged, it's because of something we actually got wrong.
Yeah.
So I think those themes of trust and what we do in order to have access to the same reality matter more than ever. But I don't have the prescription, other than more time offline. And more circumstances. Let me add one other thing, more circumstances that pull us offline. I think military service does this. I think any pattern of belonging that is not predicted by your political affiliation, that can be in a faith community, a neighborhood, a sports team, whatever. Find those, because those overlapping circles are really important. But the rest of it, not to put it back on you, is kind of what this generation is going to have to help us lead the way out of, because my generation clearly can't figure it out. Our generation.
Like, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Like,
pull us offline. I think military service.
And this is why I'm so happy that I'm well traveled and I travel all the time, because it keeps me from like getting one perspective and getting like mental locked, excuse me. You know what I'm saying, into these one perspectives. That's why I have like a bunch of different community groups that I deal with for different things. And I've always valued having all these different perspectives. You know what I'm saying? That's why I like having women around. You know what I'm saying? I like having friends that are, you know what I'm saying, that are white and Hispanic and Asian and Indian and all this stuff, and people from all over the world, like, as friends. I love it because it allows me, it puts a check on my reality, and it keeps me from falling into a place where I'm falling into an echo chamber of, you know what I'm saying, like repeated belief. Because if you repeat it enough, your brain is just going to believe it by default. You never want to be there. You never want to be where you believe anything by default. You want to question it. You want to question it. You want to question it. You always want to have to dig deeper. You always should have to dig deeper. Like, I don't even need people that have the same, you know what I'm saying, the same identical faith as me, or lack of faith. Like, if you don't believe, that's cool. You can be around me too. Whether you believe, don't believe, you're Muslim, you're Hindu, you're whatever. That's cool. We ain't even got to believe the same brand of Christianity. It's cool. Excuse me, because I value your perspective. I do. And I have enough sense in education as a fucking adult to go, I don't think you're making sense. I don't think you know what you're talking about. But I can only have that place within myself when I've taken the time out for myself to go research things and go get to the bottom of some things, to where when I say something, I'm speaking from facts. I'm speaking from truth. That's why I'm the last reasonable person left.